And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we will be talking about the all things football. I'll be giving you the college football coaches poll top 25 that came out. I'll give you my thoughts on that. I will give you my NFL division predictions. Who do I think goes to the playoffs? Who are my division winners? Version 1.0, subject to change. Preseason hasn't even started yet. Starts tomorrow. But before the season, I think you can change. But for right now, it will be my predictions. And then we'll talk about Stephon Diggs signing with the Commanders and some bad news coming out of the ATL. All that today on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let's get into it. Coaches Poll Top 25 via USA Today. I believe the AP poll comes out, I think, next week or in 2 weeks. But for now, this is just the poll. 25 is Missouri, 24 is Houston, 23 is Clemson, 22 is Iowa, 21 is Utah, 20 is SMU, 19 is Washington, 18 is Tennessee, 17 is Penn State, 16 is Michigan, 15 is by BYU, 14 is USC, 13 is LSU, 12 is Texas Tech, 11 is Alabama, 10 is Ole Miss, 9 is Oklahoma, 8 is Texas A&M, 7 is Miami, 6 is Indiana, 5 is Notre Dame, 4 is Texas, 3 is Georgia, number 2 is Oregon, and number 1 is Ohio State. The Buckeyes come in at number 1 in the coaches poll, and the Big Ten has 2 of the top 10 teams and 3 of the top 6. My reaction, like for the preseason polls, you're kind of just guessing. I mean, I'm gonna be you're just guessing. I think the top 15 teams they got right, give or take a spot or two. Give or take a spot or two. I think they got that right. I think maybe you Notre Dame could be a little higher. Maybe Oklahoma could be higher than, and again, maybe LSU. Like, it's give or take a spot. After that, 16 through 25 is a complete crapshoot. I'm surprised that they have Penn State in the top 25 ahead of Tennessee in SMU. I know they brought in Rocco Beck, and I know they brought in a lot of Iowa State transfers in the Big Ten, maybe favorable schedule as well. We talked about that. But again, a little surprised the coaches have them there. Uh, a surprise. Clemson's a surprise to me as well, considering all of the pieces that they lost. I thought the coaches would just be like, nah, they're gonna start unranked. But I do think, like, if I'm doing 16 through 35, because there are 10 teams that are probably have a case to be here, it's a crapshoot. I it's a crapshoot. I think South Carolina has a case to be here as well, uh, considering the guys they return. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. Fall camp started today as well, but I don't know. I think 1 through 15. I think the thing that interests me most about this upcoming college football season is, I've already told you, I think Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Miami can win the national championship. I told you. I said the maybes are like Ole Miss, LSU, though those the those type of teams. I think Oklahoma as well is a sneaky one considering the stuff they bring back on offense. Second year in in that in that in that system for John Mateer, but Ben Arbuckle is his second year as well as the offensive coordinator. So I don't know. I do think BYU. I mean, BYU is very interesting considering they bring a lot of guys back. Considering they were young last year, I expect Bear Bachmeyer to be better, even better than what he was last year. Yeah, it's just. I mean, for the coaches poll, the AP poll will probably have more to talk about, but I can't really pinpoint anything wrong because the season hasn't started yet. Like the season has not started yet, so I can't really there's nothing I can complain about here. Like, oh, how can this team be in and this team be not? Bro, we haven't even started playing yet. Like, calm down. It's preseason. It's a guess. It's a guess. The interesting thing to me, there's teams that are interesting in here though, in terms of what their season outlook could look like. Bama, I think is very interesting. I think Texas Tech is very intriguing. Uh the reason say those two are very intriguing is because obviously we know about Bama and new. I don't know who's going to win the quarterback job, but new quarterback, new offensive line, easy schedule to start, but then it gets tougher as it goes on. And you look at Texas Tech, they're loaded offensively. Maybe defensively, they're a little bit worse, but I still think they're very, very good. And I think Will Hammond is the one question mark. I mean, we saw him play a couple of times, but he knows the system, but how good is he gonna be? Because if they really have faith in him as a sophomore, would they have brung Sorsby in? I don't think they would have. So yeah, give or take. Again, if I was doing it, I'd probably have Oregon at one, but because because they were very young and they return a lot of people, it. I mean, I'm kind like I don't. I'm kind of in the middle. Again, we haven't even started playing yet, so it's really hard to dissect. But I think for the most part, and especially with coaches like this is fall camp time, you're still recruiting and all that, but most importantly, it's fall camp. The season is starts for some teams. It starts later this month, so you only got like 3 weeks 3 weeks if you're playing in week 0, but you'll have that extra week for week 1. So like, there's not the coaches. I mean, they don't have enough time. They're probably just like, I have to do this. Let me just, I guess, I don't know how they do it, but I guess put put the put the team down or check a box or something. I don't know. I think the preseason poll, I mean, it's kind of pointless in my opinion, but I understand why it's done. So I get it. But a lot of these teams, all of these teams in top 25 have preseason expectations to do something. A majority of these teams think they can get to the playoff. So yeah, that's the coaches poll top 25. Now, I want to go to Washington, the NFL, the Commanders. The Commanders sign Stephon Diggs. I believe they signed them last night. Last night or maybe early this morning. but he is a commander. The brand, a lot of people thought, is it going to be Brandon Ayuk, who is going to be signed? Oh, he was 5 hours ago. It says Commander signing Stephon Diggs. Yeah, a lot of people thought Brandon Ayuk would be the replacement. I think this is the right move just because. Have you seen Brandon Ayuk on Instagram lately? It's a little bit, he's been a little bit rough around the edges. Um, he's just been talking a lot and bringing a lot of noise, and I think the Commanders looked at that and said he's a talented receiver. We were gonna bring him in, but look, Stephon is a free agent on the market. He can help us. Let's bring him in. And so I think you have him and Terry McLaurin. Uh, that's a good duo for Jaden Daniels. For the Commanders, it's all about pretty much keeping Jaden Daniels healthy. And I don't know if that roster. I don't know if it's a playoff roster. Maybe Jaden Daniels can carry it, but we'll see. But I do think it's a good signing that helps the Commanders in terms of receiver depth, and it helps Jaden Daniels have an extra weapon on the offensive side. So yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the signing by any means. Now let's switch gears to Atlanta, where Jalen Walker, the stud edge rusher for the Falcons, is out for the season. He tore his ACL in practice in training camp, and he will be out for the year. I'm going to be honest. This, this NFC South training camp, brother, a torn ACL. You now got the Falcons. They got injuries. Uh, the the Bucks have, I guess, minor injuries, but they also have players not happy with the contract. And then you have the Panthers, who have the most injuries. Right now, the only team that seems to be healthy is New Orleans. Um it's if you're in a Falcons fan, this is rough because this division, I'm telling you, it's up for grabs. I do think Carolina fully healthy probably is the best team, but they're not healthy and they won't be healthy. So I'm looking at, in terms of this division, I think the two most talented teams are Atlanta and Carolina. But Atlanta don't know the quarterback situation. Tua's going to be the likely starter. I don't know if you love that considering the way he played last season. Maybe Stefanski gets him right, but I don't know. So yeah, that's nice. Um my When we get to my predictions, you'll see my NFC South pick, and a lot of people will be like, "No way," or be surprised. But I think it can happen, especially with the schedule and everything. NFC South never fails to disappoint with drama and just absolutely craziness. But yeah, prayers up to Jalen Walker. He's out for the year. You obviously had the James Pierce Jr. early in the off season. Atlanta just can't get a break. And I think now you're looking at the Falcons and you're saying, look, offensively, because look, he is their best player. Bijan Robinson is. Bijan Robinson is the best player on that team, and they did extend him. He was holding in at one point. So Atlanta's not that stupid to let him continue to hold him. But yeah, I do feel like it with this Jalen Walker injury, it affects their pass rush big time. It it affects their pass rush. And that the one thing I will say it the one thing I will say for Atlanta is I do think the last GM got them a lot of talent on defense, but I think because you don't have a quarterback, you know, it it's tough to win in this league if you don't have a quarterback. Speaking of Bijan Robinson, since we're on the topic, he agreed to a 3-year extension worth up to $75 million, including 51 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid running back in NFL history. I'm not surprised. No one is surprised. Um, I think Bijan, he's an incredible talent in the pass game and the run game. You saw him when he was at Texas. You knew, look, this guy's going to be a star, and he has lived up to be that. Um, yeah. So I think Bijan Robinson is just going to it's just going to be incredible. He incredible. If he's not the best back in football right now, which I don't think he is, only because I do think a Jonathan Taylor or a Derrick Henry or a Saquon is ahead of him. Maybe McCaffrey too. That's it. But I believe in 2 years, heck, maybe this upcoming year, he could take that leap and be the best running back in football. And look, this deal comes in a time where now the running back market, I mean, there was a point there where you didn't the league did not want to pay running backs. And now you're getting deals like this, which is huge. So it's great for the running back market. A lot of people saw what Saquon Barkley did, I think, for Philly and said, hey, if we can have a good offensive line with a great run game, with that's really gonna take us far. Obviously, Derrick Henry's been doing incredible things. So has Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, also McCaffrey had a great season last year. But yeah, Bijan gets his money. That respect to him and his agent. But Jalen Walker tearing his ACL a day after that happens. That's not great for Atlanta, which is why my predictions, it's not going to be. Don't really got him making the playoffs. Speaking of my predictions, I'm gonna give you my predictions right now. In the AFC, my number one seed in the team who will get the first round bye, I think, will be the New England Patriots. I think the New England Patriots will are here to stay. I think a young quarterback, Drake May, they add AJ Brown. They're very young. Still, they're only gonna keep getting better. I know it's a tougher schedule, but I think New England is here to stay. I believe they win the AFC East, and I believe they get a first round bye. I believe Denver wins the AFC West for the second year in a row. I just trust them more, their roster right now, more than Kansas City and the Chargers. I think they're loaded. I think Bo Nix in year 3 continues to progress, and I think they win the division again, but I do think it's close. Um, 3 seed, I got Baltimore. They won the AFC North. So and so I look, if they don't win the AFC North, it a disaster happened. Because I'm looking at this division, don't believe in Pittsburgh. Cleveland's years away. And Cincy, it depends on Burrow's health. I believe the only one that can compete with them right now is Cincy. I just think Baltimore, considering you're gonna have Lamar healthy, you add Trey Hendrickson. They had a very good draft. I mean, I just don't see how Baltimore doesn't win the AFC North. I just don't see how it doesn't happen with the roster that they have. I have the Texans winning the AFC South. That defense, to me, that defense is probably gonna win them the division almost by itself because that defense is so good and so loaded. To me, offensively is what is going to be my question. CJ Stroud. He has everything he needs. Is he going to show up and play ball or is he going to keep getting worse? Because right now they're really looking at the Texas front office is really debating if they want to give him uh, that that obviously rookie extension, because he's still on his rookie contract. And we're entering year 4. So yeah. Uh I do think that's the only major question for me. I think the offensive line is solid. Defense, we talked about that. They're going to get Tank Dell back, but they still have Dalton Schultz. You look at Nico Collins. The Texans, I believe, will be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC. At 5, I've got the Bills. I think the Bills are a playoff team. They're always going to be a playoff team under Josh Allen. I don't think they win the division because I just don't think they got any better. I mean, yeah, they added DJ Moore, but I just don't think they're significantly better from last year. Especially on the defensive side of the ball, I don't believe they're better either. I don't. That's just my opinion. I don't believe they're better either. But I believe they'll get into the playoffs and be the top wild card because Josh Allen. And their offense will probably still be really good. James Cook will be really good running the ball. I just think they'll more than likely be a playoff team, but yeah, I don't see it. 6th seed, I got the Chiefs. I got Kansas City making it back, but this time as a wild card. All of this depends on Mahomes' health, but they've got Kenneth Walker. But I still have questions about Kansas City. The questions I have, their depth at receiver. They're very thin at receiver, and I feel like they need to go out and sign somebody. Got questions about the Spagnuolo defense. They're very young in the back end. Um, Up front, they're very veteran. Haven't been able to go after the pass, get after the passer last year. That's something they struggled with, unless they were blitzing. So yeah. Um, but I do think they have a very favorable schedule. I think in the first half, I think in the back half it's harder. But I think by that time they'll have Mahomes. I think will be back to full strength, and I think they'll be rolling. Obviously, I think the enemy being back with Reed and company, I think that helps the offense as well. And I think Kansas City makes the playoffs. My 7th seed, it's between 4 teams: Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Jags. Um, take from that who you will. If you take the Chargers, I don't blame you with Hardball. Uh, for me about the Chargers, it's just about health. Can they stay healthy? If they stay healthy, I think they'll make the playoffs. Same thing for the Bengals. Um, Jacksonville, I think losing Devin Lloyd, it's big. I think that's big, and I also think them just sustaining success. Just that franchise sustaining success. every time they have a great year, they usually take a step back. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of banking on that here. And then there's Indy. Indy's got a lot of talent offensively. I know that. We know that. Defensively, it's a lot of they've got some use, but it's a lot of unproven. I don't love my the edge rusher edge room. I don't love the defensive line room. I hate the linebacker room. They're thin at linebacker. CJ Allen gets hurt, they're screwed. I like the secondary room. Very good. Offensively, I do think they need to add one more receiver, but it probably won't happen because Chris Ballard will wait till somebody gets injured and be like, oh, now I need to add the receiver. But meanwhile, though Keenan Allen's still there, we could have signed him, but watch somebody else sign him. Just like, I don't know why you're not on the phone. I'd be on the phone with Keenan Allen yesterday to get him to Indy. I don't. Ashton Doolin, good receiver. You cannot live off of him. Oh, if so and so gets hurt, we have Ashton Doolin. No, I think Keenan Allen would fit. He's a physical receiver who can make contested catches and can still get separation with Daniel Jones being the quarterback. I don't understand. Somebody's gonna sign him, I think. I don't know who. Somebody who's in need of a receiver will sign him. I do believe that's true. Love for the Colts to sign him. So pick who you will at 7. To be honest, it's always between if it's always there's always 4 teams every year gets that 7 spot. So yeah, in the NFC, I got the Rams winning the NFC West this year and being the best team, I think, by far and away. Especially with the rumors of Aaron Donald working out for the Rams, potentially testing out a comeback. We'll see. Uh, but yeah, I just think the addition of McDuffie, the addition of Garrett, still have a young front 7, great at the back end. Stafford, Kyron Williams, that offense with Puka, Devontae, like the Rams, I think are going to be the number 1 seed. The Lions, I have as the second seed. I have the Lions winning the NFC North. The North was a hard decision because all 4 teams have a claim to win the North. That they can win the North, but I think I went for Detroit because I think their 4th place schedule, having a 4th place schedule really helps them. Very favorable schedule, and I think with Chicago having a 1st place schedule, I I think Detroit barely edges them out, and I do believe Detroit bounces back. And in terms of talent, they probably are the most talented 1 through 53 team in that division as well. I like Detroit to win the North. Last year, I didn't like them to win the North. I like Green Bay to win the North, and you saw how that went. I thought last year there were, losing 2 coordinators, you were going to regress. But I think you have a new offensive coordinator in there. I think Aiden Hutchinson's gonna be getting back to form. I think defensively, now the Terrion Arnold situation isn't ideal, but defensively, I do think they'll be somewhat better than last year, and I think the Lions will. Uh, I just think they're gonna win the North. Winning the NFC East, the Eagles. I have the Eagles winning the NFC East. This should come as no surprise. I think they win it for a 3rd year in a row. I know there are going to be questions about Devontae Smith's ability to be a wide receiver one, Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. But I just think I'm giving Philly the benefit of the doubt. That's where I'm at with it. I do think Dallas, I have major questions, and I think their young players have to come in and perform very, very well for them to even have a shot at the division. I don't know if that happens. Giants, I kind of feel the same way. They're very young. Um, their young players are going to have to perform at a very high level, and I just don't think Washington has the overall roster construction right now. So I'm taking Philadelphia to win that division. At four, the NFC South, I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. Why am I taking the New Orleans Saints? I believe in Kellen Moore. I believe in Tyler Shuck. I believe that they have Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson, who I believe will be a sick 1-2 wide receiver tandem. The defense, or I think, I think we could be in a situation where the winner of the NFC South is a game over 500 or a losing record. On the website I used to do these predictions, it had the Saints going 9-8. I had the Saints going 9-8. So I think that's a real possibility. Yeah, I think they win the South, especially with the way the Falcons are banged up, the way the Panthers are banged up, and the Bucks having these this contract issues and being banged up. I and them losing Mike Evans. I think the Saints are primed. I don't think I think that what they did at the end of last season, winning 4 out of 5, I think they carry that into this season. I think they play very well. I think Shook in year two really takes a jump. And I think that propels them to a shocking NFC South division title. And I think they are going to be one of the stories of the season, in my opinion. At five, I got the Seahawks. They lost a couple of pieces, and with the Rams getting significantly better, I think they get a wild card spot. There's not much to say about Seattle. I mean, people talk about Seattle as if they're not a contender. I don't agree with that notion. Look, when you win the Super Bowl and you bring back 90% of your roster, you're a Super Bowl contender. Now, do I just think their division is so tough and their schedule is tough, and that I think the Rams got that much better that I don't think they win the division, but I do very well think they're the top wild card. At six, I've got the Niners. It's about their ability to stay healthy, to be honest. But last year, you saw they weren't healthy and they made the divisional. So, it, Kyle Shanahan, great coaching. They're going to have Purdy. You're hoping Evans, I'm just chalking him in to miss some time. If McCaffrey's healthy, they're fine. I think they will be fine. If C Mac is healthy, they will be fine. But yeah, I think San Francisco. I think losing Salah does hurt, but I think San Francisco will be fine. I think, look, the three NFC West teams will make the playoffs. I think that's what happened. And at seven, it's like I was really racking my brain. It's like five teams for one spot. It's Bears, Vikings, Packers, Giants, Cowboys. I chose the Bears. Why did I choose the Bears? I think Caleb Williams in year three has an even better year and takes a step. And even though I don't love their roster, I love Ben Johnson. And I think I have them winning 11 games, but they're the 7th seed. I think the NFC is at stacked again this year, and I think Chicago. I do believe they have the best quarterback in that division, and and I'll see what their defensive pieces. I think their defensive pieces are going to take a minute, but once they get going, I believe they'll be better on defense than last year. And obviously, I think Roma Dunze continues to take a step, Colston Loveland as well. That run game continues to develop. I like what the Bears did last year, and I think they continue that this year. You can obviously make an argument for Minnesota. I think Kyler will be the starting quarterback. You look at that Brian Flores defense with those weapons. Um, yeah, uh, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, good offensive line. I think O'Connell's a good coach, great coach. Yeah, Packers. To me, I think in the not having Micah to start the not having Micah till basically October, potentially middle of October, I think that hurts them, and I think that could result in them missing the playoffs because the NFC will be so stacked. Giants, I have them being way better than last year. Does that result in them making the playoffs? I don't know if it does yet. But I will say, if there was a sleeper team, if you told me, out of all the teams, take out the Bears, who of those other 4 to 5 teams I have in the hunt, who would I take? I would take the Giants because I do think from a talent perspective they're real good. I think they bring in Harbaugh, who's a very good coach, who's a Super Bowl winning coach. I just think he needed a change of scenery here in New York, and I do think their schedule is manageable. I also have Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be great offensively. To me, the question is the defense. They're young. They're young. They got their young players. They got to come in and play well, almost great. There's on defense for them to win. I also feel like the addition of Rashawn Gary helps, but just the conference is so stacked. You have playoff caliber rosters that can miss the playoffs because of how stacked that roster is. Look, the NFC West having 3 teams. Look, once you get down to it, you have the division winners, and then you got the NFC West that's got that I think will get 3 teams. And after that, you've got 5 teams for one spot, and it's hard, right? Um, and it's hard, but that's what I got. To recap, in the AFC, Patriots 1, Broncos 2, Ravens 3, Texans 4, 5, Bills 5, Chiefs 6, Colts 7. In the NFC, 1, Rams 2, Lions 3, Eagles 4, Saints 5, Seahawks 6, Niners 7, Bears. All right, everybody. This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.